Before this video starts today, I just want to say thank you to our patrons, Nanani no Nora Paidrei. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. And let's go ahead and get today's video started. Hey guys, it's Vandazzle back again from the Cardfight Vanguard deck profile. If you guys enjoy, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn to the Patreon so we get started. So today, we can obviously tell what this is just by looking at the screen, but it is Gold Paladin Ezel time, baby, let's go! As we all know, Ezel's my favorite. Quite literally, it's what this channel is named after. If we look at the icon for my channel right now, it is probably Ezel still, because I probably would never change it. So, let's go and get this deck started, because I find it very fun, and I do build my Ezel decks probably differently from everyone else builds their Ezel decks, but this is how I like to build it. So let's go ahead and get started. First up, we have Crimson Lion Cup Criff as our starter. 6k base, 10k shield, grade 0 with boost. Autumn's Road Upon, draw a card, then propose Vanguard's grade 1 grade. You get a quick show, take it to your hand. Standard ability, nothing too special about it. That's what every starter does in V. You just get a draw, you get a quick shield. But the reason why Criff is specifically a starter is because if you don't know, Incandescent Lion Blonde Ezel requires Criff to be in solo to use its skill. So for once, the starter actually matters. But even if it wasn't for that, I would still run Criff as my starter because I loved him in Premium, or to be more exact, back in the OG days before it was banned as a first Vanguard. And now I love this thing. I mean, I still love it regardless. So I would run this as my starter anyways because it also is an Ezel support card to some extent. So that's our starter. Trigger Lab, we run 4 Crit and Flame of Victory, 4 Front and Dauntigo, 4 Draw PG and Halo Shield Mark, 5k base, 0 shield, grade 0 boost, draw trigger, you can 2 Sentinel, you have 4 Sentinels in your deck, auto guard circle, when placed, card a card from your hand, one of your use cannot be sent to battle, and we run 4 heals and Elixir Sommelier. No Heal Guardians because as I said before, I don't like Heal Guardians. They go against my playstyle. If you want to run Heal Guardians, you can run them because they're not bad, but I prefer not to run those because they don't really fit my style that much. Now, if you're wondering why I run Rainbow instead of 8 fronts or 8 draws or not any crits whatsoever, it is because I prefer the Rainbow. The Ezel decks can get you, it's really easy to get power to front row when you can just get one Dauntigo. You get to stack your drive check, so who doesn't want the extra crit pressure on Van, especially when you have triple drive. You get the draw trigger because I play this deck very stupidly aggressively, so I need hand cards and I need draw PG to make sure I can nullify attacks. And the heal, I already went over why it's this one, and also because 20k shield is better than 15k shield. So that's why I do this. If you don't like the way I build Ezel decks, go build your own Ezel deck the way you want to. But I prefer it this way because I like the Rainbow, because it always helps out. On to our grade 1s. 3 copies of Sacred Twin Beast, not Bleast, right? Lion. Grade 1 boost, 10k shield, 8k base. Honestly, I love his art. We have such a cool golden armor, his roar, his body. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. I know I'm being biased, but this isn't just bias. This is just me genuinely actually fangirling over arts. Auto Van Rear, when the attack this unit boosted hits a Vanguard, look at top 6, choose up to 2 grade 3 cards with Ezel in their card names, different card names, reveal them, put them into your hand, and shuffle your deck. If you put 2 cards, you gotta choose a hand card and put it to soul. So you don't have to put one of the 2 that you put to hand. I mean, obviously you kind of want to, because a Grand Ezel can take abilities of the one in soul, but it's a way to get hand cards and get soul. Now, the good news is he can do it on swing and on boost. Basically, he's like Wingo Brave. My problem with this thing is, the only ever time, I've used this thing 10 times, and only 2 of said 10 times have I actually gotten Ezels out of them, grade 3 Ezels, because I've always seen Wonder Ezel, but you can't add Wonder Ezel because it's not a grade 3. So I've always seen, at most, I've never seen 2 Ezels that were grade 3s. I only seen one. One of them was Incandescent Lion Blonde Ezel, and one of them was Salvation Lion Grand Ezel Scissors. All the other times, never seen Ezel. I don't know why this card hates me. I mean, it's still pretty good for an early rush and get your hand cards, but I really want to get off that soul ability so I can be more consistent with it. Either way, nice grade 1, and I like it. 3 copies. 4 copies of Crimson Lion Beast Hoel, 8k base, 10k shield, grade 1 with boost, auto rear at the end of the battle that boosted if you have a Vanguard Ezel in its card name, kind of boss 1, shove it to soul, draw a card, call a card from hand to rear. So, pretty interesting skill. You do have to pay counterboss, which isn't really that good in an Ezel deck because you have to, lose more of your skills, and especially because I took out my countercharger for this deck, even though the deck is still consistent, it's definitely something to worry about. But then, you get a possible draw, you get a guaranteed draw, and you can call something if you wanted to. I mean, you have to call something, but it's a way just to fill up your hand and then call the card with the thing you draw. So all around, Ho is pretty good. I like it for that. It doesn't have to hit for its skill to go off, it just has to boost something, and your Vanguard being an Ezel, so I give it a 4 copies. 4 copies of Knight of Elegant Skills Gareth, 8k base, 10k shield, grade 1 with boost, auto rear when placed by your card's ability, counterboss 1 gets plus 10 for the turn. So, I don't use that unless I'm going for the early rush, because there's no reason to get 18k when your opponent's at grade 3 unless you think you really need to kill them that turn. If you want to do that for the 18k, you can, but I'm not going to waste my counterboss for that shit. But it's still a pretty good card, especially because, one of the Ezels can call Superior Call. Actually, no, 2 of the Ezels can Superior Call, and Salvation Lion can get their skills, so you get possibly 3 Superior Calls if you play it right. I know I literally got 3 Superior Calls because I had 3 of the original Ezel and Soul, and because it stacks, it's for free. You get 3 free calls. So Gareth is a really nice card, and I like it for it, especially a good card to sit on when you're on the original Ezel, 4 of. Grade 2s, 3 copies of Knight of Passion Bagdemagus. Grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 9k base. Continues rear guard during your turn. This unit gets plus 5k power for each grade 3 with Ezel and its different card name in your soul. So maxes can hit is 20 because you cannot count ones under Ezel because once more, Wonder Ezel is not a grade 3. So the most you could have is Salvation Line, Grand Ezel Scissors, Incandescent Line, Blonde Ezel, Raven Haired Ezel, and Platinum Ezel in soul. If we can only count V, and it will get plus 20, so 29. But that's still pretty good, because even though it's only during your turn, that's a free 29, and not to mention if it's on Excel Gift, it's 34, and then continuous rear guard, if your soul has 2 or more grade 3s, none of them have to be Ezels, they just have to have 2 or more grade 3s in soul. This deck's just the easiest one to hit with that. When this unit would attack, it battles all your opponent's units in the same column as it. Okay, the turn I use this, I can hit 2 grade 3s in soul really quickly, like first grade 3 turn, I can hit that so easily, and this thing just becomes a column killer. A 34k column killer. All around, pretty good. It is very easy to get Ezels on soul because like Salvation Line does it for freaking free, and you can just do a bunch of Superior Ride loops like I do to get like 3 of them in soul. So Knight of Passion Bagdemagus is a really good card, and I love it. 3 of. Next up, we have 4 copies of Flame Wind Line Wonder Ezel. Of course, I would bring up Wonder Ezel considering how much I talk about him. Grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 9k base. Act Vanguard, Soul Boss 1, and retire 1 Crimson Lion Beast Hobel on your rear guard. Search your deck for 1 Incandescent Lion Blonde Ezel, ride it as stand, and it gets -1 drive for the turn. Shuffle your deck. So basically, an alternate way to go into your Ezel, because Ezel either way, the original one loses a drive check if your opponent's Vanguard's a grade 2 or less. Now this one requires you to lose that drive check regardless, but it's an easier way just to like search, because you can go ride this Soul Blast thing that isn't Criff, kill Hobel on your board, get an Ezel, okay, get an Excel Gift, call call Bowman, who we'll go over in a second, use his skill, get a Gareth, use the Ezel in your hand, Soul Blast the Criff in your soul, ride Ezel, get an Excel Gift, and then you go Ravenhaired, Counterblast 1, ride Ravenhaired. And all this requires is just 2 soul, with one of them being Criff and 1 Counterblast, and Bowman, and Wonder Ezel, and Ho-Oh. But either way, that is still pretty good. Really enough, I pull that off a lot, except in this deck, because for some reason, Ho-Oh doesn't want to show up anymore. Once I put this thing, and suddenly Ho-Oh just shows up less and less, for some reason. I don't know why. Putting in a card that boosts consistency apparently makes this thing not show up. Either way, and then also Wonder Ezel's other skill, auto rear when it's placed, regardless from hand, deck, or anywhere, and regardless of when, you may call a card from hand to rear. So call it from Ezel's skill, you call from its skill, so you can call Gareth from it. All around, really nice. Get you a board, get you multi-attack. It doesn't have to be to an open rear guard circle, so you can just call over stuff. You can use this ability with Platinum Ezel to get in your drive check, call something down during your drive check. All around, Wonder Ezel, pretty good grade 2. I like it. Gives you alternate ride, gives you free calls, 4 copies. Next up we have on the list is Knight of Superior Skills Bowman. 9k base, 5k shield, grade 2 intercept, auto van rear when placed from hand, discard a card from your hand, search after 1 Knight of Elegant Skills Gareth, call to rear guard and shuffle your deck. Auto rear guard when it's placed back your card's abilities, it gets plus 3 for the turn. So honestly, it's really good. Place from hand specifically, I mean, so you can't really do it with Platinum Ezel, but you can do it with the OG Ezel, especially during your opponent's during your battle phase. Discard, get your Gareth. Okay, perfect. You're set up to either Superior Ride during your main phase, or you get an extra attack and you can use Gareth to make it an 18k, and the only downside of this is you gotta discard 1, and one's placed by your card's ability, so if you use this during the battle phase, and you use it to call Ezel, and then, you use Ezel to call this, and then you use this to call Gareth, who's an 18k now, this thing's at least a 12, you put it on Excel Gift, 17. All around, Bowman is really good. Get your power, get you a small amount of board, help set up for Ezel, 4 copies. Next up we have our grade 3s. 2 copies of Raven-Haired Ezel. Grade 3, Twin Draft, Excel Gift, 12k base, act, hand. If your Vanguard is Incandescent Lion Blonde Ezel, Counterblast 1, ride this as stand. Here's what you do, and this is going to bring back memories to a certain Ninja Master M from Card Fight area. You go first, right? Okay, they're at grade 1, you ride to Bowman. Sorry, not Bowman, you ride to Wonder Ezel. You call Ho-El, skill of Wonder Ezel, Soul Blast the grade 1, retire Ho-El, ride Ezel from your deck. Get an Excel Gift. Okay, call Bowman, you skill Bowman, discard 1, call Gareth. Skill the Ezel that's currently in your hand. Soul Blasting 1, ride Ezel, Imaginary Gift, Axel 2, draw a card. Skill of Ravenhair in your hand. Counterblast 1, ride it, Imaginary Gift, Axel 2, draw a card. You got 3 Excel Gifts in 1 turn, your opponent's at grade 1, and they're probably gonna die. And the worst part is I never got to finish that game because my keyboard literally stopped working at the last minute, so I never could officially win. But let's be fair, me and him both knew I was going to win in the end, because when you got 3 Excel Gifts while your opponent's at grade 1, they probably dead. And Auto Van, when it attacks, if your Vanguard is if Incandescent Lion Blondazzle is in your soul, not on your Vanguard circle, counterblast 1 until in the battle, this unit gets plus 15k power and plus 1 crit, and your opponent cannot call Sentinels from his or her hand. Yeah, you can buy this with an early rush. Your opponent is pretty much dead. Like, if they give you 2 counterblasts on the first grade 3 on their first turn, that's their death sentence. You're getting extra crit, you're getting extra power. I mean, all you need is 1 to get the 3 Excel gifts, but followed by that 27 with double critical and no Sentinels, oh, they're in for a rude awakening. They're going to have to lose a lot of cards to survive this or to trigger sack the hell out of their deck. Either way, Ravenhair, despite being one of my least favorite Ezzles, just because like I don't think the 15k and extra crit isn't really that good. I still think it's a good, but I don't like it. It's still an amazing card, and I love it. It combines with combos, makes you more Excel gifts. 2 copies. 2 copies of Blazing Light Platinum Ezzle. By the way, if you don't know, this thing doesn't lose drives when you superior ride if they're grade 1, so that's a way to just get more Excel gifts and not lose drive checks. Next up, we have 2 copies of Blazing Lion Platinum Ezzle, grade 3 twin drive Excel gift, 12k base, active Vanguard, counterblast 1, change this turn's first drive check to look at the top 2 cards of your deck, reveal to one from them in your trigger zone, and call the other one to rearguard circle, and if your soul has 2 or more grade 3s, which is very easy to do, change the second drive check to of this turn as or more and more as well. So your third drive check also gets chances. Oh, I didn't realize that actually changed the third drive check too. That's actually pretty good. I thought it only changed the second one. It changed the third one as well. So that's pretty good. Get you basically the ability to, like, say for my most common one is I always look at top 2. There's always a front trigger or a draw trigger and a Wonder Ezzle. Call Wonder Ezzle, or to be more exact, in the order it's supposed to go in, front trigger, Wonder Ezzle. Because the skill is still going, the front trigger goes off first, and then Wonder Ezzle skill, call something from hand. So all around, that's really good, but then also every time I use a skill I always hit 2 triggers. So like it's really easy to hit 2 triggers and guarantee your drive checks when you're also just getting a board out of it, and you don't have to call the units to open rearguard circles, so you can multi-attack by calling over the things that are already rested. All around Platinum Ezzle does a lot, and it's only for a counterblast, and he does at least one of them for only a counterblast, and then if you have 2 or more grade 3s, which once more is very easy to hit in the deck, and if you did what I do earlier, you automatically have 2 grade 3s in the soul, and after you ride this you have 3. Really easy to pull off. 2 copies. Next up, we have 3 copies of our Incandescent Lion Blondazzle. I run it at 4, but weirdly enough, I see this very often, so it's fine to run it at 3. Grade 3 twin drive Excel gift, 12k base. Act hand if you have a Knight of Superior Skills Bowman and Knight of Elegant Skills Gareth on your Vanguard or Rearguard. Soul plus 1 Crimson Lion Cove Criff. Ride this unit as stand. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 2 or less, it gets -1 drive for the turn. So unfortunately, like I said earlier, if they're grade 2 or less, or you just use this skill, you do lose the drive check after Superior riding, but you're still getting a gift. So you're not really losing your drive checks because you're losing the possibility of seeing a trigger, but it's going to hand anyways. And, if you're just Ravenhair on top of this, you could still get the 3 Excel gifts, or at least 2 of them, and you don't lose drive checks. All around, really good already, but then auto van, when it attacks, you may call a card from your hand to rearguard. Very simple skill, but, combines with Bowman, the boy hits for 12 on an Excel gift, boy hits for 17, followed by you can get a Gareth to counterblast 1, and it becomes an 18. You can call Bagdemagus just because column kills is fun, or you could just call a grade 3 for no apparent reason. You could also call Wonder Ezzle, who can get you a Bowman. You call Wonder Ezzle, who can get you a Bowman, who can get you a Gareth, who can get you a counterblast plus 10. The possibilities with this shit is endless. It's really good. And with Grand Ezzle, which we'll go over in a second, can abuse the hell out of this because it's for free. So 3 copies of Blonde Ezzle because the boy's really good, my main avatar, and I love it. And then our main grade 3, quote unquote, and the one that we run at 4, the only one we run at 4 to, see it more often, is 4 copies of Salvation Lion Grand Ezzle Caesari. Grade 3, Twin Drive, Excel Gift, 12k base, Act Vanguard, once per turn, put a grade 3 card with Ezzle and its card name from your hand into your soul. You can put any, you can put himself, you can put this thing, you can put this thing, you can put this thing, and then you choose all of your grade 3 with cards with Ezzle and their card names, not named Salvation Line, in your soul, and this unit gets all their abilities for the turn. So that means you can't proc off Wonder for this, but I'm pretty sure there's no, because the thing I'm thinking of isn't technically an Ezzle, because of the way it's spelled, so when you get the skill, but you can combine it with this. And remember, it's stacked, so if you have 3 of these in Soul, you get this ability 3 times, which means you get the when it attacks a Vanguard, you may call a card from your hand 3 times, which is really good. Granted, this one doesn't matter if you do it multiple times, because you're almost guaranteed to get like 2 grade 3s in Soul, so it's really easy, so you don't need to get this one multiple times in Soul, but if you want to, you can. Ravenhaired, just like Blonde Ezzle, granted, it requires you to play multiple counterblast, but playing 2 counterblast for plus 30 and double crit on face and no sentinels, pretty good. And then his other skill is, but plus it can't pick itself though, because otherwise you would just be able to loop it. And act Vanguard once per turn. If your opponent's Vanguards are grade 3 or greater, and your soul has 2 or more grade 3 cards, counterblast 1 until end of turn. This unit gets +1 drive, and your opponent cannot activate Vanguard auto abilities. That is meant specifically to screw over Chaos, but it screws over anyone anyways, because it's like screws over Chaos, screws over Necromancer, screws over Himiko, screws over literally anything that has a defensive auto ability, and unlock all of your locked cards. So they do have to be a grade 3 or greater for this, but it is so easy to hit 2 grade 3s in Soul, because like I said earlier, with the play I told you earlier, because one, these don't have to be different names, but even if they did, I told you how to do it before, where you just get 2 Ezels, you do Ravenhaired, boom, you already have your 2 grade 3s in Soul. This rides on top of it, so now you have technically 3 grade 3s in Soul, and 2 of these are in Soul, so they stack. You get this boy into Soul, boom, your opponent's in for hell now, because now you get to fuck with your drive checks, you get to call 2 units when your Vanguard attacks, and you can possibly get +15 in extra crit and no Sentinels, and the only downside is it causes a counterblast, but it can also lock off their opponent's auto abilities, and unlock all of your cards. If you're playing against Link Joker, they get a big middle finger. Grandizzle, amazing grade 3. I have literally no complaints about this. I love its art. I love its skill. It is pure bullshit. 4 copies. And then our Excel gives you run 6XL1, 6XL2s, because you're going to ride a decent amount, but at the same time, if you play like I do, your opponent's going to die before either, if you're going first, they're going to die before they get to grade 3 or before they get to second grade 3 turn. So XL1, when both of them when acquired, they go top left and top right, and you alternate between the two. When they're acquired, they make a new front rear guard circle. The difference is XL1 gives a unit on that circle +10, and XL2 gives a unit on that circle +5 during both of them or during your turn. But the difference is XL2, besides the +5, is that it gives you a draw when the XL2 is placed. So typically you pick XL2 because you can just spam gift markers like there's no tomorrow. If you really think you need to rush your opponent down because they're going to be like really defensive at grade 3 turn and they can make a whole hand card type of play, like get 12 hand cards in one go, okay, go XL1 and just kill them quickly. But XL2 nets you back the resources that you use pulling off literally every one of your XL gifts, and then you get the advantage so quickly. Literally the only deck I can think that can like easily stop this now is shit like Blazing Flare that can nuke the board and delete every gift, or something like Premium Star Raiders. But like the second you get these gifts, you are like in the advantage sheet. You have so many rear guards. You can do while your opponents are, if your opponents have grade 1, they are most likely screwed unless they trigger sack the hell out of it. But all around, this deck is amazing. And then we have our quick shield. When one of your attacks plus 5k for the battle, nothing special about it. You typically use it for discard fodder of no one actually. Oh yeah, you did for discard fodder of Bowman, but you can also use it to shove to soul fodder of stuff like White Lion. But typically you want to use Ezels to shove them into soul. So like, because you don't need to superior ride. You do enough gift checking. You don't need more gifts. You can just afford to send one of them to soul and just set it up for later, so you can do it. So you can do the Ezel plays quicker. This is definitely a finisher with how this deck plays, or at least how I play it. So yeah, that's the quick shield. Nothing special about it. Just a 5k shield that normally goes to soul. And that's it for the deck. All around, definitely one of my favorites. You get multi attacks. You get possible extra criticals. You get a lot of power. You get to literally stack your drive checks, and then call units during your drive checks. You can literally make a whole board during your battle phase, and then still get your drive checks off of it, and then put them on that. So you could go like, considering how I often get like 3 Excel gifts really quickly, you can go, assuming that your opponent's at grade 3, attack with 3 units on the Excel gifts, assuming they only have 2 Ezels in soul, attack with the 2 rear guards in the front row, hopefully they can all hit, swing with Vanguard, once more assuming that they're at grade 3, skill from Ezel, call 2 copies of anything to the board to the Excel markers, or if they're big enough to swing on their own, or with the boosters from behind the rear guards in the front row, call them to those circles because they can be on closed rear guard circles. Use this board because it can also be on closed rear guard circle when you do your drive check 1, 2, 3. I mean, you might want to use this first if you really want to, but use this 1, 2, 3 on your drive checks. You get to look at top 6 basically and call any number. This deck is bullshit. This deck is honestly bullshit. You get boards, you can get like 1, considering how I play this deck, you can get 5, 6, 11 attacks on what can be considered second grade 3 turn. Yeah, if you ever play against me with this, don't put yourself to 4 damage early. That would be, even if you see a trigger, depending on what I'm at right now, that would that wouldn't really do you much good. I love this deck so much. I love attacking with it. I love playing with it. It is genuinely one of my favorite decks. No, it is my favorite deck. It does so well. I can't think of any words for it. I just think it's amazing. I know what I'm cosplaying this year as Halloween. So that's it for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join to the Patreon, join Discord, follow Twitch, and I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to stand up your Vanguards.